Welcome to That 80s Show, the podcast that doesn't mind native Capetonians.
It's the non-natives that we worry about.
You know, it's like people born and raised in Cape Town, good people who've moved there recently. Joburgers.
And I'm sure the native Capetonians don't love them either.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because you go to Cape Town, you definitely can tell who the Joburgers are. They basically turned it into four ways. Four ways in Camps Bay. Like, that's what they've turned it into. And lots of foreigners.
Yes.
With their euros, and definitely on vacations away from their wives. With their slurts. How are you, Dori?
Wow, what an intro.
Cape Town was different in the 80s, though. Did you ever go there in the 80s?
I did. I went when I was a teenager, the first time I ever went, and it was the I think, late 80s.
Yeah. Not like now.
I haven't
Quite
been for many years. I haven't been in over 10 years.
Yeah. Such a stark change in Cape Town from the 80s to now. It was really a little coastal town.
Now it's like,
it really felt it.
Thinks it's the bee's knees.
No, it is. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm reaching that stage in my life where my aspiration is to live in Cape Town.
Right.
Or the surrounds.
You can tell me exactly when I was in Cape Town, because I'll tell you what I did while I was there.
Saw Roxette.
No. I saw the He-Man movie on the big screen.
Fucking hell, 1987.
That would be it then.
1987. Oh, sorry. You know, this week I wanted to get through a whole episode without lusting over Dolph Lundgren's nipples. And there you've gone and spoken about
Thrust them back in your face.
on the big screen. Was it better, as they said?
I mean, I remember enjoying it. But back then I saw everything on the big screen.
Now we got big screen TV, so everything's on the big screen.
Yeah,
not as big as that screen.
We always saw everything on the big screen, and then we would get the VHS and watch it over and over again afterwards until the VHS stretched.
Till that wore out. Remember the Sturkiniko intro? It was so like they thought they were 3D. You'd like go through it was like the logo was like lights and all the different colors, and then it came to make those are the glory days of cinema. Dori, we haven't visited Wham Corner probably since Christmas. We haven't.
Time.
Dori, I gotta tell you, Wham Corner, I'll take you there this week. It's very bushy.
Okay.
Ooh, it is very bushy and overgrown. Because Dori, everything she wants is to cut down George Michael's trees. Or not to cut down George Michael's trees. Locals have hit out at plans to fell trees at George Michael's London home, a headline says. Oh dear. Neighbours were said to be massively relieved when restoration work began on George Michael's London home earlier this year after it fell into disrepair. So obviously George Michael passed away. The estate was left to his sister. His sister passed away. So he never lived in this home, and it wasn't his maintained home.
Right.
But it was still one of his properties. He lived in Oxfordshire or his Highgate mansions in the later years of his life. And this particular home had fallen into disrepair. It had, they say that it had remained untouched in the years since his death. So what are we going now? 8 years? 2016?
Yeah, we're heading into...
Yeah, the end of last...
it
just went 8 years. It just went 8 years on Boxing Day.
Yo, I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, so the neighbors were very happy, because you can imagine the high-level fucking generational Karens who are living around George Michael. Just think about it. Just think about think about those WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
Think about those WhatsApp groups that are just aghast at this.
And they were just like, these trees have got to go.
No, they haven't got to go. That's the problem. So they applied to the council, because, you know, first world country, you got to do things. They applied to the council to now kind of like fix up the house, because it's fallen into disrepair and they got to fix it up. But the plans have faced fierce resistance from angry next door neighbors and the community group, the Reddington Frognall Neighborhood Forum.
Okay. That is the most British thing I've heard.
That is a WhatsApp group I want to be part of. The foxes are back. Who's feeding the foxes? And they called the application regrettable and very concerning. Why, Dori? Because they want to take down some trees, right? So part of the cleanup is there's trees that have overgrown, but the neighborhood recognized that it is nesting season.
Oh.
Right? The trees are of particular importance as the estate is in an area with much underground water And they've asked that all felled trees and shrubs are replaced with native species, providing high value to wildlife.
So they are going to take away the trees and then put other trees.
Well, some people, it seems, don't want them to take down the trees. And other people are saying, well, if you do take down trees, you've got to replace the trees.
And then what happens to the birds' nests?
Well, you got to wait. You got to wait till nesting season's over.
Yes.
The problem is they come back next season. But
Yeah.
for now, that's next season's problem.
Well, probably in winter they're not going to be making baby birds.
Yeah, well, you're going into summer now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is nesting spring, it's coming up to spring. So the Reddington Frognall Neighborhood Forum would like to suggest that the current works should include replacement of the 2 of the previously felled poplars. That would be ideal for helping to address surface water runoff in such a wet area, in addition to providing valuable wildlife habitats. Oh, another resident was incandescent about the scheme. Harlan Zimmerman complained.
Oh,
Harlan
Zimmermans.
Zimmerman's an admin. Zimmerman the admin. Harlan admin Zimmerman. No, fucking still works. There have already been a large number of trees felled in this property, and the adjoining one is alarming and suspicious that so many more have been targeted. Suspicious? Why are you targeting the trees? Harlan Zimmerman wants to know. Also, I'm concerned that there's no real description of the work plan to reduce foliage. Oh, Harlan Zimmerman thinks something's up.
These neighbors are extremely concerned about the plants, the green things.
The team want to trim down a massive sycamore, which is hanging over the garages. They've asked to reduce the 59-foot size and remove dead wood. All of this is being described to control encroachment. It's all part of general maintenance.
Do you think someone's moving into the house? Like a family member, perhaps?
Andrew.
Really? You
No,
think?
Andrew's got his estates. Look, it belonged to his sister. So we heard his sister passed away.
Yes, but surely there's nieces, nephews, cousins, etc.
Yeah, so
The cousin who keeps hearing him on the radio, maybe?
remember that story? Going
Yes.
back, there was a distant cousin of George Michael
Yeah.
that kept hearing messages
Yeah.
on the radio from George Michael
Yeah.
about last Christmas
Maybe they
giving him
built
his
a
heart.
padded room in the house for him.
And the trees are there to prevent us hearing him scream. So Dori has just uncovered it. That is the suspicion. Dori, you got to drop Harlan Zimmerman a line and say, Harlan, I know what the problem is. We figured it out. But anyway, I'm glad to have visited a bushy wham corner.
Yes.
You know, but it's been
Long
sort
overdue.
of
Long overdue.
I mean,
Very overgrown.
Normally you have to like end up in a public bathroom in LA to see so much of George Michael's bush. But there we went into it. I mean, that's just great. So last week,
You can see the title of this episode, George Michael's Bush.
of course,
There it is.
last week, the half once again leads me to a wondrous place.
Yes.
Okay. And I was looking for content for our Facebook page, and off the back of, you may have seen David Hasselhoff in a very suggestive pose of the Pingu, the penguin. And I found on YouTube the Knight Rider theme played on Spanish guitar.
Yes.
Okay. So I then found the Knight Rider theme,
The original.
the original Knight Rider theme, but from Latin American and Spanish speaking countries. I'm going to play it for you now. This is the intro in Spanish of Knight Rider.
El coche fantástico es una trepidante aventura de un hombre que no existe en un mundo lleno de cariño.
So that's just fantastic to me, right? El coche fantástico. So I go, holy shit. If you got El Coche Fantástico, which is Knight Rider in Spanish, what other shows could I find? TV shows. What was happening in Spanish-speaking countries? I mean, think of Latin America, South
Yes.
America, right? How many of these shows, they were popular? They must have been popular. So I went down a rabbit hole.
A Spanish one.
Very Spanish. What's Spanish for rabbit hole? I can take a guess, but I'm not going to say it right now. Okay. But Dori, take a listen to this intro, and you may recognize it, but it's just fascinating finding out what different shows were called in Spanish.
Hace 10 años un tribunal militar condenó a prisión a un grupo de comandos por un crimen que no cometieron. Estos hombres escaparon de la prisión y se instalaron clandestinamente en Los Ángeles. Hoy, aunque el gobierno los busca, si alguien tiene un problema, necesita ayuda y puede localizarlos, tal vez pueda contratar a los Magnificos.
Los Magnificos.
So fucking
That is such a much better name than the
It
18.
is so much better. You know? Like, I mean, what's A team going to be? Equipa A. No. Los Magnificos. Clandestino. So then, so that's the title of all the characters. So then he names all the different
That is
actors.
amazing.
Los Magnificos. So this is just fantastic. And it is a way better name. I mean, it's just like, it makes everything sound like super narco-y, but I'm still into it. You know, like Los Magnificos are not helping people. You know, if you got a problem and no one else can help, like your problem is, I cannot get drugs out of Colombia because Escobar has created a cartel, right?
Yes.
And every episode is just like that. Like no matter what problem they're solving.
I can't get hold of Pablo because he's playing with his hippos.
Exactly. You know, that's what every episode's about to me. Even the one with Boy George. It's about narcos.
By the way, Spanish for rabbit hole. Oh, I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. Madriguera del Conejo.
See. Okay.
That sounds like something that Urban Dictionary would have.
Yeah,
eh?
it definitely does sound like that. That's why I didn't want to touch that particular rabbit hole. Not only that, but there were sitcoms, okay, that had Spanish names. Golden Girls was referred to as Las Chicas de Oro. Chicas Blanche was definitely a chica.
Yes.
Married with Children, Matrimonio con Hijos.
Okay.
And hijos, as you know, from Narcos, children. Or
Sounds like donkeys. Hijos.
Hijos, okay. But Dori, I want to play you one. Take a guess. Which sitcom? See if you can guess the sitcom before the theme song kicks in.
Un gran trabajo en un lugar bonito. Tiene un jardín muy verde.
Tú siempre has dicho que quieres a Nueva York.
Sí, pero quiero más a mi hija. Tienes que prometerme que te vas a cuidar.
Tú también, Tony.
Lo haré.
Estoy segura
Tony,
de
oh
que
my
vas
God,
a
who's the boss?
extrañar esta ciudad.
¿Quién manda a quién?
Good guess.
Just because I heard Tony, because my Spanish isn't so good.
In Spain, it was translated to Quien manda a quien. Quien manda a quien. Who's telling who, basically. So it's like a literal translation. Who's the boss? Who's telling who? Yeah.
Oh, have you got like some basic Spanish knowledge because of the Portuguese thing?
No, because I'm reading it.
Oh,
Because of my...
I was just wondering.
Yeah, kind of. But I also researched. Sorry, I researched this. Quien manda quien. So that's who's the boss. Good guess. Take a listen to this one. In the genre of Los Magnificos.
Lobo del aire.
Lobo del aire. Lobo is wolf.
Oh, right, yes.
There was another one I found that was like helicopter or something.
Okay.
Helicoptero del Lobo. Of course, then I looked for my favorite cartoon series of the 80s.
Los amos del universo. Soy Adam, príncipe de Eternia, defensor de los secretos del castillo Grayskull.
Castillo Grayskull.
Fucking love it. That's
Why
what
does
Paulo
that one
Escobar
sound like
lived.
it's being played in a bathroom, though?
That's fantastic.
That is.
Right?
Fantastico.
Castillo Grayskull. That's where Pablo Escobar is hiding out.
Exactly.
Why didn't they just go, the DEA, go Castillo Grayskull? That's where he is. Of course, I also looked for another one, found Garbage Pail Kids, Los Niños de la Basura. Sounds like a off-tell of the cartel. This is a theme. And then, of course, I had to go look for the most Spanish-sounding and the most Spanish-adjacent TV series. But much like Los Magnificos, Miami Vice also got the translation treatment.
Miami, Policía Especial.
Policía Especial.
Miami Special Police, basically.
Exactly. But that's what your Vice Squad is, isn't
I
it?
suppose.
I mean, if Miami Vice taught me anything, your Vice Squad is
Yeah.
particularly drugs.
It's so funny because we're just listening to the audio of that. We're not watching any visuals. As soon as that percussion kicked in, I saw the boobs.
Oh, Dori, great call.
Boobs
Percussion.
and the flamingos.
Got the flamingos. Can you go 3 for 3? There is something else.
Boobs, flamingos.
So 80s, so Miami.
A
That
yacht, perhaps?
It is a watercraft.
Is it a jet ski?
Dori, it is a windsurf.
A windsurfer.
A windsurfer.
Oh, yes. I
Which is
remember
something
now.
that only existed in the 80s.
It seems so.
You,
Yes.
you don't get windsurfing anymore.
No.
And why don't you get it? People are like base jumping. They were like, forget it. Windsurfing. That we had a teacher in school, a German teacher. She said, people have many hobbies. This sounds like Thomas Anders now.
You do.
People have many hobbies. Some people like to knit. Some people like to, go windsurfing.
Now, that sounds like something out of Urban Dictionary.
Fucking hell, windsurfing. Okay, so once again, David Hasselhoff opened me up to the world of Los Magnificos and Miami Policía Especial, which we can only...
Castillo Grayskull.
I like that so much. I like it so much. And thank you, Narcos. If not for Narcos, because when you watch Narcos, you're reading.
Yeah.
Like...
True.
Like now Netflix is all about because you hear about people when they like filmmakers when they make Netflix, they say like, we have to understand people are second screening. So we can't be too complex. People have to be able to understand what's happening in our show without watching the show all the time. They get it.
Yeah.
And then they do trick you by like making the sound so shit that you can only watch
I
with
cannot
subtitles.
watch dubbed stuff. I think it's a trauma from my childhood of everything being
Simulcast.
dubbed into Afrikaans in South Africa. I
mean,
literally can't watch dubbed
Why
stuff.
can't we have Netflix on Radio 2000 where you just like tune in and then there's the like another, you know?
That would make it easier.
Yeah.
Not.
I'm sure we've spoken about this before, but that whole concept of like, my one was Beverly Hills 90210 and there was a stage where it was in Afrikaans. Am I thinking right?
No, that doesn't sound right.
No, that doesn't sound right. Anyway, whichever one it was. Now, the fucking amount of... This is why I think I'm so good at editing and things that I do in my life now.
Yeah.
Because you had to set your recorder...
The VCR.
The VCR, which was...
Which you could preset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you had to be a high-level fucking tech genius. Don't talk to me about, like, crypto mining or shit like that. Like, if you could set that. So you got to set your VCR, but then somehow also get your tape deck.
Yes.
So
I used to, you could press record and play and pause at the same time. And then I would
on the
just...
VCR?
No, not on the
tape deck.
VCR. On the tape.
So just go...
we had like the hi-fi system.
Yes, record and play and then pause.
Record and play and
Yes.
pause.
So you
because
didn't get
I was
the
not
ads.
allowed to stay up to watch Miami Vice. It was
Yes.
at 10:15 on a Wednesday night.
Miami Policía Especial.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would just beg my father to remember to unpause the recording. That's all. I'd say, just remember to
Yes,
unpause the
yes.
recording. But then you had to sync it up.
That was
to
the thing.
rewatch.
That was the thing.
What a pain in the ass. If I had been my parents, I would have just let me stay up late one night. It would have been so much
easier.
simpler.
So much easier. And then you're sitting there with your tape, you're tick, tick, and you got like fucking 20 minutes of cricket commentary. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Like 5 minutes of like the apartheid
Police
propaganda.
file. What police
It's like a
file?
fucking police file. Just get over the shit. I just want to like watch my show. I just want to watch Mistard in Miami.
Mistard in Miami, exactly.
We've actually, how many of the shows were translated with Afrikaans names? Next week.
Yes, next week on that 80 show. When are we getting Noel on the show? Because he can definitely contribute to that discussion.
Well, Noel, who is the collector supreme of the Retro Fair, the Pretoria Retro Fair. I think they call it just broadly more Retro Fair. There's one coming up at the end of this month. I've invited him on the show.
Yes.
I said, when your schedule allows. He's a busy man.
He is
He's
very
out
busy
there
man.
collecting all the people to put into
But
his
guys,
Retro Fair.
29 March.
29 March.
Save the date for Retro
we
Fair.
will be doing the
will be
new
there.
venue looks great.
We will be there.
We've got-
doing potentially a live show.
Yeah, we got like aspirations of doing something, but
We may just be sitting there drinking.
just drink-
But
yeah.
either way, we will be there.
I feel that sounds more like something we'd do. Hey, maybe do a show while we're drinking. Can't be worse.
I mean, we could do both.
Can't be worse. So just before we get into our movies, Dori, I found Collider. I love doing this just before listicles, just before we do our movie recommendations. The 10 best movie casts of the 80s ranked.
Okay.
So starts off at number 10. This goes through just like really ensemble cast in 80s movies.
Yeah.
Clue with Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, and Tim Curry.
Not bad.
That's a pretty good
Not
cast.
bad.
Pretty good cast. The Untouchables. Ugh. Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, Robert De Niro. I mean, plus loads of others. I think, what's that? Robert De Niro, Andy Garcia, Patricia Clarkson. I mean, that was even just over and above the headline guys. The Outsiders.
Oh,
just everybody.
yes.
Patrick Swayze, C. Thomas Howell, Ralph Macchio, Tom Cruise, Matt Dillon, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Diane Lane, C. Thomas Howell. Did I say him?
You did.
I did. Wow.
Yeah.
That's and all of them went on to be huge things. And the Karate
Pretty
Kid.
much, yeah.
The Last Temptation of Christ, William Dafoe, Harvey Keitel, and Barbara Hershey.
Strange movie.
Yeah.
I've spoken about it on the show.
You have Time Bandits, cast there.
British.
Sean Connery, Shelley Duvall, Ian Holm, Peter Vaughan, David Warner, Kenny Baker, Michael Palin, and John Cleese. And Terry Gilliam was also involved. I think he wrote it.
Probably.
I think he wrote it. Blues Brothers, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Carrie Fisher, among John Candy, Twiggy.
Yeah.
At number 4, Once Upon a Time in America, again, Robert De Niro, James Woods, Elizabeth McGovern. You know what I love about Robert De Niro is
he's always waiting.
Joe Pesci. I did not expect that. That's good. Jennifer Connelly, Joe Pesci. Robert De Niro is always in ensemble casts, and he's always the best. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, maybe.
I'm like watching Zero Day at the moment with Robert De Niro, and I'm just like, even though he looks like the man from Up, he's like so Robert De Niro-ish.
Was not expecting that.
No. Number 3, Henry V. Not a movie I would dare watch, but Kenneth Branagh, Paul Schofield.
It's so weird to make it into this list.
Judi Dench, Emma Thompson, Robbie Coltrane, Christian Bale.
I remember watching that. Well, trying to watch it because me and Shakespeare were not friends. But
No,
yes.
it's like you shouldn't be doing that.
But I did love Kenneth Branagh.
Number 2, Yes for You, Princess Bride, Carrie Owls, Robin Wright, Mandy Patinkin, Andre the Giant, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shawn, Billy Crystal, Carol Kane, Peter Falk, Chris Sarandon. I think movies like this, Fred Savage, movies like this, spoofish movies, you know, easy to have a big cast because people are just in and out. And then number 1 on this list
I'm going to guess.
best cast.
I'm going to guess. It's either going to be Breakfast Club or The Big Chill.
You won't get it, Blade Runner.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Sean Young, Edward James Olmos,
Harrison Ford,
Daryl Hannah,
Rutger Hauer. Okay.
You know, if you think about like any of the Brat Pack and Brat Pack adjacent movies, they weren't massive stars yet because none of those movies are on the list except for Stand By Me.
And The Big Chill didn't make it out.
Outsiders,
Was
sorry.
The Big Chill 80s? I think it was. I think I've spoken about it.
Yeah.
The Big Chill had an amazing cast.
Not on this list doesn't count, Dori.
Doesn't count because it doesn't have Rutger Hauer.
So, Dori, movie recommendations this week. You say you've got a doozy of a movie for me. Do you have a trailer for us to play?
Was just another ordinary, dull, and boring semester at Worley High.
Attention, faculty and students. This is Mr. Dante, your principal.
The classrooms were in disorder. Relationships were impossible.
Not until your grades improve.
And the teachers were insane. But this year was going to be different. Someone was going to teach a lesson no one would forget, ever.
By the way, Frankenstein's staring at you.
Please, everyone, stay calm.
Kids are missing. A teacher's missing. We stay calm and we'll all be dead.
Was it a teenager in distress or a murderer in disguise? Donovan Leitch, Jill Sholin, Brad Pitt, Roddy McDowell, and Martin Mull.
On the floor.
In this school, you don't die trying. You just die.
Get out of the school!
I'm so proud of you because that is such a movie that I would recommend.
I know.
Because obviously it involves Brad Pitt, and you see Brad Pitt all very young.
His first major movie role.
Wearing a shirt that looks like he works at Game. And you go, okay, I like that quirk. And it starts off, you're thinking, oh, this is a lovely little coming-of-age, quirky comedy.
High school romantic comedy.
And then next thing, people are being chucked in furnaces and Brad Pitt's being dragged on the floor with some sort of metal clamp. And just as you think it's completely not 80s, you do see the teenage girl in her nude.
Yes.
So you go, okay, well, it is
there are boobs in this movie.
It is an 80s movie.
Yes.
And then you get this fantastic line. You know, you come to the school to die.
Yeah.
You know, that's so... Dori, tell me more about Cutting Class.
Well, it's on Plex. Big surprise.
You threatened.
I did. I went into Plex and I searched comedies and I saw this and I thought, that's the one. And I did think, oh, there is a small chance that Paulo would do this movie as well. Actually, there's a large chance that he would do this movie.
It's on my watch list on Plex.
Oh, is it? Well, I beat you to it. And I honestly thought, I'll just skim through it. I ended up watching every single second.
That's what happens with these bad movies because you're like, oh my God, that's.
And at one point I thought, let me skim, and then I ended up going back because I was like, no, I missed something.
Except you didn't. It was just badly made.
This movie is one of those so bad it's good, so fun. Brad Pitt is actually pretty good.
Brad Pitt's fantastic. I think Brad Pitt's
for his
outstanding.
First movie role. Funnily enough, this movie came out in 1989.
Yeah.
It honestly gives a feel of like a bit of earlier 80s than that, but it is a 1989. What can I tell you about it? It's like a schlocky slasher horror. People die some very gruesome deaths.
So tell me about the guy. So obviously our pickup is that there's a guy called Frankenstein who he's not anybody that we should know, right? He didn't become...
So I looked him up because I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
His father was a famous singer named Donovan. Do you remember the singer Donovan? He did that song Mellow Yellow.
You're fucking lying.
I'm not lying.
Ways.
That is his dad.
What a skill of circles, because just last week we were talking Mellow Yellow.
Yeah.
And it came...
Yep.
It's got its name from that song.
Yep.
And here we are talking about Donovan's son.
Yep.
Sonovan.
Also Donovan, by the way. Donovan Leach Jr.
Oh, well, good. I assume Donovan Leach. Okay, yeah.
Yes. So, but he's done some things, like I looked him up on IMDb, he's done some minor
He's very, like they say, Frankenstein-y. He's like, are they high school or college?
No, it's high school.
Okay.
So the basic story
which makes the teacher in the girl's bedroom very hiding behind the coat stand.
Oh my God, these teachers are all such pervs. They are the creepiest teachers you've ever seen.
Right.
The principal makes the cheerleader bend over in his office and he literally looks at her ass and he makes her bend over twice. So there's a lot of misdirection in this movie where at first they're hinting strongly that Donovan, whose name in the movie is Brian, is the killer because he just came out of jail because he was found guilty for his father's death. His father died because his brake lines on his car were cut and they basically were like, oh, this kid did it. So he went to jail and then came back.
Juvie or real jail?
Nothing is explained, Paulo.
I'm not letting
Nothing is explained.
Plex movie. Okay,
honestly, there are so many plot holes, you could fall through them.
Right.
Okay. So he's apparently been in jail for 5 years, yet he comes back to high school.
He's been in jail for 5 years.
5 years.
So he must have killed his father when he was 12.
Something like that, right?
Okay, right.
It is revealed at some point during the movie that him and the Brad Pitt character were best friends.
Right.
But now, obviously, since what happened, the Brad Pitt guy's like, I can't think of his name in the movie. Dwight. Brad Pitt is Dwight. Dwight says to him, I don't know if I can trust you. But then there's a little bit of a twist because then it's revealed that it was Brad Pitt's idea to cut the brake lines. So then there's a little bit of misdirection. There's a little bit of misdirection. You're thinking, oh, maybe Brad Pitt's the killer. Then there's the creepy janitor who is literally the creepiest person you'll ever see. And they kind of hint that maybe he's the killer. Then they even hint at a couple of the teachers being the killers. So there's a lot of misdirection as to
why did everyone hate Donovan's father? Because why? He sang Mellow Yellow. Why would everyone want to kill this guy's father?
Okay, that's the real life father. This is the movie father.
So why would everyone want to kill him?
Yeah, apparently he was an asshole. I don't know.
Again, I'm asking
and
too
then
much.
the main girl, the brunette,
yes,
who's dating Brad Pitt, Dwight. Her name's Paula.
Yes.
Her dad was the prosecutor who put Brian in jail to come full circle.
Okay.
So this whole killing spree is heading towards the finale of him killing her to get back at her dad. Meanwhile, there is a secondary storyline that is so weird.
This is what I love about this.
There is a secondary storyline where her dad has gone hunting. He's taken a holiday and he's gone hunting in the woods. The woods seem to be 1 kilometer away from their house. Okay.
Middle America.
Literally 1 mile away from the house.
Right.
At some point, he gets shot with an arrow.
Okay.
And we think he's dead, but then he is not dead. And the secondary storyline...
In the trailer, Brad Pitt's firing an arrow in class. He seems to do archery class.
There's some of the misdirection, right? And at one point, and literally the entire secondary storyline is him trying to get home from these woods that really aren't that far away. I'll tell you why I know they're not far away. Because the school kids do like a little bit of a walk through them. And they walk over this guy. They walk over him.
Okay, so he's probably just drunk. He's probably
he
eaten
really
some
did
mushrooms.
get shot with the arrow, but it just didn't kill him.
Right.
And the entire secondary storyline is him trying to get home.
And is his daughter distressed that dad's out, or she's just trying to bonk Brad Pitt?
Remember, no cell phones.
Right.
And he's supposed to be gone for a week, and I think that the whole movie takes place over about a week.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what is weird. Her best friend disappears, is killed by the killer. She doesn't seem to even notice that her best friend is missing. There's not even a mention. Nothing.
She's got a lot on her plate. She's got teachers perving over Brad Pitt. I mean, I'm not going to notice shit if I'm dating Brad Pitt.
Right. Anyway, a little factoid. They actually did date in real life after being in the movie together.
Beautiful couple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good couple.
Yeah.
And so, spoiler, because nobody ever watches these movies we tell them to watch.
Do you want me to tell you who the killer was?
Who's the killer? So we got 3 options. We've got
a few options.
We got Brad Pitt.
Yes.
We got the guy called Frankenstein.
Yes.
We got the janitor.
Yeah. Very creepy janitor.
We got the principal.
Creepy principal.
And
then there's a maths teacher. Who at one point they really make it look like it's him.
I'm going to go with Brad Pitt.
Nope.
Who's it?
Original Frankenstein guy. Turns out to be him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
turns out to be. He has a fantastically gory death.
Oh.
Cool.
Tell me about it. I'm not going to watch it.
Okay. They're in shop. You know, shop class in America is a thing. Now, shop class in this movie is a combination of auto mechanics, because there's cars being worked on.
Of course.
Engines hanging from the ceiling.
In Greece, they were working on cars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then also just other, like, I don't know, tool things and like, there's a vice.
Sharp objects. Yes,
There's
that gets put around Brad Pitt's neck.
No, there's a vice that his head gets put into at one point as well.
Okay.
At one point, he corners Paula and he's about to kill her. And she manages to reach for a hammer and she hits him in the head with a hammer. So it literally lodges into his head.
Right.
And then she pushes him onto one of those circular saw things.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very gruesome.
Does he get cut in half?
Not really, but there's a fair amount of fake blood.
Okay.
But the most gruesome death was the gym teacher.
Oh.
The gym teacher's bouncing on a trampoline.
Of course, that's what they do.
And the killer comes and takes, there's an American flag in the doorway of the gym, and he takes the flagpole and he sticks it up under the trampoline.
Oh, dear.
And basically impales the gym teacher
In
as
his
he's bouncing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right in the cave. It's
a great movie. Cutting Class, what a clever title.
So clever. It works on so many levels. So many levels. Dori, I love that. I'm very proud of you. Well played.
I'm very proud of myself. And I have to tell you, I think you should watch it. Even though I've just told you the whole storyline. Because it's funny.
I have to tell you, Dori, this is a gateway drug. Because you think, oh, I won't. Once you get hooked on these so bad it's good movies.
I know.
You cannot go back, and you intentionally, the oddities, and then what they find you. They start finding you. So welcome to the dark side.
There are a few options on Plex, but I chose this one because it was 90 minutes long as opposed to 2 hours long because I was tired.
But that's the other thing about it. The length of a cassette tape.
Yeah.
maybe 5 minutes either side. No, you're not wasting
with all
cassette
those
tapes.
horrible ads that you have to sit through on Plex if you don't have the paid version.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
So many.
What's the UNICEF one?
Oh my goodness, the UNICEF
That
one.
comes up everything. Don't pause when you're on Plex.
No.
You're gonna get all the fucking ads.
Oh my goodness.
You cannot skip.
No, you can't skip them, and they go on for like 5 minutes. So it actually took me 2 hours to watch the movie, even though it's
Marriott
90 minutes.
Bonvoy. You see, it works. It works.
I mean, they do. Lions International.
Yes, that's the one.
Lions International.
And Marriott Bonvoy. Yeah, hey, listen. Well done, Plex. You know what you're doing. So I got a movie this week. Strange enough, not an oddity, but a very interesting movie. If I had to say to you, name a Madonna movie from the 80s, what you going to say back to me?
I'm going to say Desperately Seeking Susan.
Okay, I got another one for you.
Oh,
This one is actually before Desperately Seeking Susan. Actually, when they started filming this, Madonna wasn't big yet. She had just released Like a Virgin, but she hadn't broken through. But by the time they released it, she had just blown up. She had just become huge.
So does she still have dark hair?
She had blonde hair.
Okay.
She's got a part in this movie, but she's like just a nightclub singer.
Oh, okay.
In the movie, they go to a nightclub. She's singing. And they renamed the movie. So the movie's got one name. Which when I saw this movie, I go, oh, this movie's definitely like Tron adjacent or War Games adjacent of some kid figures out how to hack the American defense system through his video game. Like I thought it's something like that. It's nothing like that.
Okay.
So it was released under that name in America. But by the time it came out in like every other market, and I reckon here as well, they were like, Madonna is so big, we're just going to change the name of the movie to the song she sings and put that song in the movie constantly. So the movie is either called Vision Quest or Crazy for You.
Okay.
She sings Crazy for You in the movie.
I actually saw this movie.
Right.
But I saw it as Vision Quest.
Okay.
Yes.
So in pretty much every market other than America and subsequent releases, they just called it Crazy for You and they had the song constantly. Even though Madonna only sings it for like a minute.
Yeah.
She sings 2 songs in
I do
this.
not remember a single thing about the story.
So it's actually got a very good cast. Vision Quest, now it's named. So we are we've met a senior in high school. He's in the wrestling team and he's got aspirations. He wants to be the best wrestler. And he goes on a vision quest, which is a Native American concept of where you visualize this thing.
Yes.
I mean, really, it's silly. But that's what he does. And his visualization is that to be the greatest wrestler, he's going to drop down 2 weight classes so that he can beat the best wrestler in the state. Which is kind of weird because you think, well, he must be a good wrestler. But if you're the heavier wrestler and you beat the heavier guy, I don't understand wrestling. But that seems to me like that's what you want to do.
I think we need to not get too much into the plot, much like my movie.
Because what it does is it actually presents us with the main character starring Matthew Modine. He's the main character,
okay.
yes. And the opening sequence is him running along to a Journey song wearing one of those 80s sweat tracksuits.
Nice.
Remember those?
I do indeed.
They were fantastic. It's what
color?
Oh, the silver one. Oh, the classic silver one.
Okay.
Now, if you don't remember, in the 80s, they sold us this technology that came from NASA that the astronauts wore before they went to space, that it was a tracksuit that you wore it and it made you sweat so much you lost weight. That was the whole thing. Baked you, basically.
Yeah.
And it was all the rage, and he wears this. So much so that opening song, I got to find the details about this. So this scene inspired a song called Matthew Modine by a band called Pony Up in 2005.
Okay.
We thought you looked super cute in your lover jogging suit. You were trying to make your way so you could be the best in state. But we're just crazy for you. You're the only thing we want to do. But we know you've got a wife and we're sure she's really nice. And we know you've got some kids and we could be your kids. But are you into polygamy? Because we are like totally free. We could move to New York State and we could go on lots of dates. And you could bring along Phoebe Cates. Please bring along Phoebe Cates. Oh, Matthew Modine, we want to be your blowjob queens. Oh, Matthew Modine, we think that you are peachy keen. Oh, Matthew Modine. This is a real song inspired by this opening sequence of the movie. So Matthew Modine has been doing a lot of press over the past 2 weeks or so, because that's when I've seen it, because it's the 40th anniversary of the release of this movie. So he's popping up everywhere talking about this movie, like doing really funny stuff. Matthew Modine, greatest head of hair in Hollywood at the moment.
Oh my goodness.
Have to say.
And if you don't know who we're talking about, he's like the evil guy from Stranger Things.
He's in so many, but that's the latest thing.
Yeah.
He also talks about how from Vision Quest led to one of his biggest roles. But and how do you put Matthew Modine in biggest roles? But he's such a nice guy. Like when he comes across in all the press stuff.
He does
so
come across that way.
He wants to wrestle, and he's like totally focused on wrestling. And they live in a small town, and his dad's the mechanic. And one day, a girl, Linda Fiorentino, rolls into town with car trouble. And the dad says, well, look, your car's going to take a few days to fix. While I get parts, I know you don't know anyone in town. You can stay at my house. I'm just a mechanic with my son.
And this is the beginning of a porn movie.
There's no woman in there's no woman in the house. There's not a wife. Wife passed away.
Come and stay and wash my dishes.
Beautiful
and do my
stranger,
laundry.
Linda Fiorentina, comes stay at my house, and she's like, cool, I'm going to stay at your house. But she's like tough. She's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
And then she's a few years older than Matthew Modine in this, and then he falls in love with her, and it defocuses him from wrestling, but then it also really focuses him, but then it defocuses him and really refocuses him. So he goes through this up and down, and then she realizes that she's defocusing him, and then she leaves because she says, no, you got to be the best instead. There's a whole thing.
Yes.
It's fucking high school.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like Al Bundy throwing
like
three touchdowns in a half, when you played quarterback for Polk High.
Yeah.
It's really that shit. Like, nobody's going to give a shit in 6 months' time when you're out. So unless you're going to get a scholarship and go to the Olympics, but none of that is ever said. But anyway, she leaves him just before his biggest. Now he's fighting this guy who he dropped 2 weight classes to fight. And the movie just kind of ends there, which is, in your coming of age teenage movies, is actually like, you don't know if they end up together. You don't know if he wins. I think he does win. But anyway, it just doesn't end up in like a sweet, you are left to figure out, what do I think happened?
I can see why they capitalized on the Madonna thing, because it doesn't sound like it had much else.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Listen, Matthew Modine is electric.
Yes.
He's very good. You can see like that guy's going to do big things. Linda Fiorentino, she's just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And then Matthew Modine, so he actually does win in the end. He explains how that this role led to him getting his role in Full Metal Jacket. Because, of course, his movie after this is Full Metal Jacket.
Sure.
So he talks about meeting with his agent over a pancake breakfast in Hollywood. And suddenly he hears someone shouting at him and like just, oh, fuck, this guy's here again. He looks over his shoulder and it's Val Kilmer. So his agent introduces him to Val Kilmer. He says, hi, I'm Matthew. He says, I know who the fuck you are. Every role I go for, I've been for the roles for, I was in the run for Private School Streamers, Vision Quest, and Mrs. Soffel. And everywhere I get, they go, no, we've already given to Matthew Modine. So fuck you, I'm tired of seeing you. Okay. And then he said, and now I'm not even auditioning for Full Metal Jacket because I believe you've got it. So Matthew Modine's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Full Metal Jacket? Like, I've not auditioned for Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
So he calls his manager and he says, like, what the fuck is this? Val Kilmer said this. Like, I know it's Val Kilmer, but like, what the fuck? So a month later, he gets the Full Metal Jacket script in the mail with a letter from Stanley Kubrick saying, hello, my name is Stanley Kubrick. I'm a film director, and I wonder if you'd consider being in my film. Stanley Kubrick saw him in Vision Quest and said, I want that guy for Full Metal Jacket.
That's insane.
That's fucking bonkers shit.
Is, and like, as opposed to Val Kilmer.
Right?
I mean, I'm not saying, Matthew Modine's amazing in that movie. But Val Kilmer would have been good.
But if you think of the time, Val Kilmer wasn't...
What had he done at that point?
I think he had done Top Gun.
Okay.
He had done Top Gun at this point.
Yeah, he was a tough guy then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, it would have been great, but still, that's...
Look, let's not feel sorry for Val Kilmer. He went on to have a fairly decent career.
No, and so did Matthew Modine, and he had a fantastic career as well. In sticking with the theme of earlier in the show, in Spain, this movie was called Loco por ti. Crazy for you. So just to wrap that up.
Loco por ti,
in
I
a
like
neat
it.
little package.
I like it.
And but here's the crazy thing about this movie, Dori. When you go through like 80s movie soundtracks, we know Breakfast Club,
Kenny Loggins,
Footloose, Top Gun.
Yeah.
This movie's soundtrack ranks in the top 25 80 soundtrack, actually top 25 movie soundtracks of all time.
And all it has is one song by Madonna.
No, Dori. It's actually got a great soundtrack. Journey's on there.
Oh, right.
REO Speedwagon's on there.
You see.
Madonna's on there.
Yeah.
So it's got a hell of a soundtrack as well. And it's sold really well. It's like one of the top selling soundtracks of the 80s.
I actually remember seeing the record or the cassette tape or the CD even perhaps.
That's what that's what Matthew Modine said. And
Yes.
he was doing like a Q&A last week.
Yeah.
And he said like, we sold vinyl, cassette tapes, 8 tracks even I remember seeing. So that did really well. And he also talks about Madonna being on set. So he goes, when she arrived there, no one knew who she was.
Yeah.
Like we knew she was a singer and the movie was produced by, or the studio was Warner Brothers, and we knew they would often put their singers
artists,
in movies, whatever. But nobody really thought anything of her. And she like just came in. She was there for a day. She did her 3 scenes. He said, I had to like share my trailer with her. But I never interacted with her.
Yeah.
It's like she was there on days I wasn't really doing anything.
But if he had
with her.
known, he could have stolen something of hers.
I mean,
he could be auctioning it.
Would Matthew Modine have to steal something from Madonna?
Nah, probably not.
And then he says like the next thing, they're like, oh, remember that girl that was in our movie? She's just kind of like the biggest
She's literally
thing
number
ever.
one on all the shots.
Yeah, so it's and we just even in other countries, Matthew Modine talks about going to other countries and seeing the Vision Quest. I think this is where he talks about the album. And he goes, on the cover, it's a massive picture of Madonna's scene, and he's in a corner dressed as a wrestler.
Oh, what a misdirection, I tell you, misdirection.
He's like, it's the Madonna movie that I happen to be in. So that is a movie, Vision Quest or Crazy for You. And then Dori's got Cutting Class.
Yes, I want to tell you, Cutting Class had 2 songs.
Yes.
One on the opening credit and one on the closing. The closing one, Shazam could not even pick up.
Oh, dear.
It was like, look, they very 80s sounding.
You
no
must
idea.
know.
The first one Shazam did pick up, I've never heard of it, called Nearer to Morning by Andy Pryboy.
The Andy Pryboy? Who knows?
Literally never heard it.
Who knows?
Never heard of it. But yeah, very 80s songs. And then the rest was just that cool, dramatic 80s electric guitar drumming, adrenaline music as they're running away from the killer. Yeah.
This
You beat me on soundtrack.
Vision Quest had a great score as well. Like
Okay.
also very synthy. Yeah.
I think Vision Quest was actually at Rosebank Mall.
Could have been.
I think it was an arty movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Could have been. Not a bad movie. I got to be honest.
Huh. So we really swapped roles this week.
I know we did. It's like we're
Freaky Friday.
one person I don't often get a chance to talk about on the show, and I'm going to mention him, is Julio Iglesias. He's in the news. Julio, he's getting a Netflix biopic.
Ooh.
You know you've made it when you get your own Netflix biopic. And what a story. What a life Julio Iglesias has. What was he doing in the 80s? He was singing with Willie Nelson, Diana Ross.
Yes.
That was his breakthrough. Because he was like making hits in the 60s and 70s in Spanish language. There's definitely an unintended theme in today's show.
He's loco.
Today's show is loco. What are you talking about? But in the 80s, he really just came through. I mean, he was the best-selling Latin artist of all time up until the 90s. He was recording songs in Spanish, English, French, Italian, Portuguese, German. And he became like this, like the meme of this Latin Lothario lover.
He had all the ladies.
All the girls he had loved before.
All of them.
What a weird pairing, him and Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Like, I can totally, like, imagine all the girls they had loved before. Because Julio Iglesias claims to have bedded close to 2,000 women.
Yeah.
And we can imagine what they look like. Willie Nelson, I'm sure he did as well. And we can imagine what they look like.
That's a bit judgy, but I hear you.
Dori, come on. Come on. You know? Julio Iglesias settled in Miami, where his son Enrique was born. And definitely must have been a few visits from Miami Police Especial to Al Casa del Iglesias. Anyway, I look forward to the Julio Iglesias Netflix documentary. I want to watch it over a lovely lunch.
Yes.
You know, red wine,
some
seafood,
Spanish food, perhaps.
A paella.
Yes.
You know, that's what I feel you got to watch it over.
Yes.
Do you ever eat to Julio Iglesias?
No. I don't do much to Julio Iglesias. I don't do much. No.
Julio Iglesias was responsible for many a baby boom. Let's just be very honest about that.
My mother used to really love him. We had a vinyl record of his that my father used to hate, but my mother would want to listen to.
Let's begin.
I was not a big fan, I'll be honest.
What?
Not a big fan.
You see, I think Portuguese people, we recognize something. We're like, I feel this was there in the beginning.
Did your parents go see him at Sun City when he came out here?
They did, and I went to go see him at Carnival City the last time he was out here.
Wow.
This is the progression of Julio Iglesias.
My mother dragged my father to see him at Sun City, and apparently it was not a good show. Apparently he wasn't amazing live.
Really?
Yeah, unlike his son, who apparently is amazing live.
All bonked out. Speaking of Sun City, I heard the most outrageous, scandalous, and probably litigious story about when Rod Stewart performed at Sun City. I cannot repeat it because I actually haven't checked if it's out in public knowledge. I'm going to go look for it.
Okay, that's a little bit of a tease you're leaving us with there.
If that story is true, even remotely, it is fucking outrageous.
Awesome.
But I won't say it without, because, we're a tiny little podcast. I really do not want to be sued by a drunk Rod Stewart.
Although,
allegedly.
Is there such a thing as bad publicity?
I'll ask you, we're going to ask the Republicans, Dori. We never delve into politics, but if I had to tell you the Republicans would be the last people you'd think would rickroll somebody.
Huh.
So how fucking misplaced and misguided is this? The House of Judiciary. Fucking say Spanish words all day.
Yeah.
Can't say judiciary. That. They ran a prank on their X account saying that they've got the Epstein client list.
No.
And when you clicked on it, you got fucking rickrolled.
That must have been a junior intern, right?
What? They've not said anything since, but the Epstein files have been released. And they rickrolled it.
No, there's no ways that was on purpose.
People are like, what the fuck is wrong?
That was the intern thinking they were posting on their personal account.
Somebody got fired. Somebody got fired that day and said, I'm going down.
Was that tweet deleted?
Within an hour, yeah.
Yep.
Jeez. Anyway, this has been That 80 Show. Everything we spoke about on the show today can be found That 80 Show SA on Facebook. Dori, your favorite thing from the show today?
Sure. So much to choose from.
Los Magnificos.
It would have to be Los Magnificos.
Has to be. So enjoy the show with a sangria, a paella, and some Julio Iglesias. Why not? Thanks for joining me, Dori.
Bye.
Goodbye.